Guys, let's talk. Let's talk. It's a very important topic that I really want to talk about, and I want to get straight to the point. I want to talk about how Sierra Leone's democracy, relegated to a full-blown dictatorship. I want to talk to you guys about that. You know, um, it's a beautiful day there. Today's August 25th, of course. The weather looks great. Um, but in fact, after I'm done with this live, I'm getting prepared to cut my lawn. But I'm going to talk to you guys today. It's been a while. Let's talk again. Let me catch up with you guys. You see, because guys, in the past 5 years, we're looking back in hindsight and say there is certain things we should have discussed, but don't talk about. So welcome everybody, by the way. Welcome guys. Welcome by the way. Guys, the other thing I want to make an appeal to you all: when you watch these lives, share. The goal is for us to be able to communicate these ideas to people, because the more this message spreads out, the better for all of us. So I would encourage you guys to share. Not that I really care about and this and that and all that, but it's just we cannot be keeping information like this. I expect every one of you guys, when you watch these lives, share on your page. Otherwise, what's the point of following me if you cannot share the content that I am actually sharing? But I know, say a lot of you guys, you don't do it intentionally. It's just that you don't think about it. Basically, in Sierra Leone, when it comes to like social media, that's the thing. A lot of us don't think about sharing the information. We watch it, we consume the content, we don't share. So share. But I want to talk about how Sierra Leone's democracy has relegated, and we're in a full-blown dictatorship. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. All right. It's very critical for us to be talking about these things, because we have to paint the picture for what the future looks like. They call it when we go school. They call SWOT analysis. You always get to go back and look for evaluate your situation. That's why you find yourself right now, to see what the future holds at the same time. So SWOT is basically your strength, your weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats that we face in Sierra Leone. So what I'm doing is basically a SWOT analysis. I'm giving the current political climate in Sierra Leone at this particular point in time. All right. It's very crucial for us to, talk about these things. So what I want to do is just break down how Sierra Leone, got to this point, that we are in today, where we've seen, the fact that we are going into a full-blown dictatorship, guys. Full-blown dictatorship. You go say, Ibrahim, why do you say this? It is like all the evidence that we need is very clear in front of our faces. All the evidence that we need is right in front of our eyes. So we don't even have to think about these things. You just have to have a critical mind, evaluate, and for we to follow, because a lot of Sierra Leoneans really don't follow the political trend in the country most of the time. So as a result, waiting they happen, they don't know waiting they actually happen. So we wouldn't follow for like the past 5 years, just the past 5 years, everything we've followed. We see how the opposition is in bed with the ruling government of the day. A segment of the opposition, right? Not every one of the opposition, but a certain segment of the opposition, they've sold their souls. And this is how the dictatorship has been born in Sierra Leone. What we have is a full-blown dictatorship. Make no mistake about it. If anybody thinks that the SLPP, especially this BO, this pauper mentality, if anybody thinks these guys are gonna go away easily, you got it coming for you. It's a lie. It's not gonna happen that way. So first of all, again, let's bid farewell to Ambassador David Reimer before I even get into the topic of my discussion here. Ambassador David Reimer is an exemplary, diplomat. He carried himself very professionally, very well, up until, at this particular point, we expect a new ambassador for CAM, and Ambassador David Reimer is going to move on to, bigger and better things, I'm sure. So we want to thank him for his service. We thank him for all his initiatives. We saw the CHAMP program that he, implemented, fighting against malaria, all of these, projects that he was engaged in. Even his community development fund, where, folks that are active within their communities, giving back to their communities, could apply for these funds. And we saw the role Ambassador David Reimer played, providing those funds for those folks within these communities. So guys, this is what I want to say. If Sierra Leoneans, if we think that the international community is going to come and fight for us, we're lying. All right, that is not going to happen. I'm going to tell you guys, sacrosanct fact now. That is not going to happen. So we have to stand up and fight for ourselves. But what to make us say we don't get a full-blown dictatorship? Let's look at what has happened, in the past 5 years, to the point where now, if you look at the Bio regime, Mada Bio, not only they've stolen the election and he's there as the president at this particular point in time, where we all know say that should not be the case, but it's the fact that even if you look at the parliament, minus the APC going into parliament, nothing. SLPP gets 81 members of parliament, and we know say even the paramount chiefs would all lean to the SLPP, so the 91. And then even inside the APC now at this particular point in time, there's going to be a few MPs that are willing to work with the SLPP, to work with Mada Bio. So I'm telling you guys this, I'm laying this premise because I want you guys to see that everything we've been saying and fighting for over the past 5 years, Mada Bio has been friends with people like the Musevenis of Uganda. This was why we were saying opposition should stand up. Don't tolerate the political violence. You see, what they were doing successfully, SLPP, and the opposition within the opposition, especially within parliament, did not stop Mada Bio was the fact that they were silencing critics silently. And they silenced critics them. They silencing critics them. How did they do it? Like the execution of, the assassination of people like Evangelist Samson or Michael Magba Mansari, as innocent as that guy was, just because he got him up, they say this stadium, Nabo, he said that President Nkrumah built this stadium. And of course, President Nkrumah is a story for another day, because in himself, he has failed democracy as well. As a stakeholder in a nation for later on all these years, silent 5 years to the point where they kill people inside the heart of McKinney. Is silent about it. They up and down the past now West Africa, they make elders forum, but you cannot even maintain and protect your own people in your own country. But you did across West Africa, they pass and say, you go and take care of elections them. It in itself is a disgrace. So this is the thing. This is where we've gotten to. So Mada Bio over the past 5 years, what they've been doing, the SLPP consecutively, is to make sure, say, they hold Sierra Leone to becoming a dictatorship. And they've succeeded in doing that. And at this particular point in time, the sad parties, even the opposition within the opposition, that supported this foolishness, now they're going to become victims as well. Because if they think, say, Mada Bio would compromise with them, then they've got it wrong. And they're going to be so disappointed. And this is why I feel very terrible and very sad for Sierra Leone, because that prayer, no more now go for prayer. And so we Africa we believe in prayer. But other than that, there's nothing we can do. This will just get for worldwide, Chukole, Mada Bio we don't take this power. So he get for Sidon by himself. By himself. Maybe he's gonna sit there for another 20 years. We're not gonna say, Ibrahim, you're exaggerating this thing. But I'm telling you, these guys in the 5 years, they've put everything in place for ensure. Mada Bio don't put everything in place to ensure that he holds on to power. And what I say for the 20 years, Mada Bio, these guys, if we're not careful, they're planning on changing the constitution at this particular point in time. Because, listen to me, the man, it is outside so that presidency outside so it is the 5 year man, say the next election. Because the APC is not going to do anything. I see then the distract we all now. ICC. It is a distraction. Because you see, the government self, they go along with the tag because they know, say, okay, it better let the people pay attention to the ICC than they pay attention to the results. And every one of us, we're asking for the results, the disaggregated vote, results from polling station to polling station. That is what we're asking for. But when you look at the SLPP, they are happy that folks within the APC, particularly so, then they spread this ICC thing, ICC. First of all, guys, there is no way a sitting president is going to be prosecuted by ICC. So the priority now is about making sure, first of all, say, Mada Bio steps aside. He is not the legal president of Sierra Leone because the voice of the people does not reflect the results that Mohamed Kanawe announced. So that should not be the fact, right? That should be the fight to ensure that everybody understands that Mada Bio should step aside and ensures that we, the people, the mandate of the people come into fruition. We mean say, Mada Bio, we always say not win the elections on June 24th, 2023. You know, win the elections. But that is the thing. That is what is happening. Then it distracts we now for focus on ICC so that we're not going to pay attention to the election results. And Mada Bio goes to finish this 5 year term APC is not going to do anything about it. National commodity. Now, by going power, we get for the number now. The suffer, the poverty, the hardship, the hard time, again for continue. Nothing is going to change that. Until Madabio decides he didn't get for handover power at any point in time if they lost elections. But I'm telling you guys where we are heading now as Sierra Leone. I'm giving you guys the playbook. In 20 years, Madabio go sit down and hide it one. Madabio get Abbas Bundu na parliament. Abbas Bundu is a constitutional lawyer. Abbas Bundu na they writes the constitution of Sierra Leone. Now they get the parliament. They get total domination of the parliament. SLPP gets 81 members of parliament, minus the paramount chiefs. The paramount chiefs there, we always say anything, any law where SLPP want to pass the parliament, any law that they want to pass. Guys, I'm doing Creole and English because I want the international community, and I know they're watching at this too. And I want them to see this. I want them to understand exactly what I'm saying now. So this is what is actually happening. So now they have the parliament. So what is Madabio going to do? What is the SLPP going to do? They're going to change the constitution to change the term of the presidency. It's just going to be continuous. Any president is going to contest the presidency, and if he wins, it continues. There's not going to be a term limit. Even if there's a term limit, say 5 to 7 years. Matter of fact, it might change it to 7 years or 10 years. And after that, it is like there is, you continue. There is no limits to say, oh, after, once you contest the elections twice, or after a second term, you cannot go on. These are all the things that these guys are intending to change. This is why we were saying, pay attention to what is happening in the politics in Sierra Leone. Call out your opposition leaders, but some of them now they play. Now, I get for Kolipa Madabio the Syria for another 20, 30 years. It's going to happen in Sierra Leone. I'm telling you guys this. That by God in power no more now, we're going to survive this democracy. It's by the grace of God. But everything, the fear that we had, every one of us, the fear that we have is the fact that Sierra Leone is going to be blown into a full-blown dictatorship at this particular point in time. People like Museveni, this is how they came into power. This is how they consolidated power. One, the first thing was tribalization of the institutions. Look across Sierra Leone, all the institutions have been tribalized. They succeed. We were calling on members of parliament. We say, members of parliament, we want you guys to open up an inquiry into what is actually happening within MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies. We say, everybody, let parliament open up an investigation into the tribalization of our institutions. The police, the NEC, the ECSL, the military, all the ministries, them. Look at the ministers, them, deputy ministers, heads of parastatals. We were calling. We say, open up an investigation because, again, everything the TRC report said was very clear and sacrosanct. We should not have more than 30% of the same tribe in governance. These are things we don't talk about for the past 5 years. With the big salon people, we say, pay attention to what is happening in parliament. These guys have sold your country. Then guys, they don't sell everything in Marabio, but not pay attention. This is what is happening now, my brothers and sisters. Sierra Leone is going into a full-blown dictatorship at this particular point in time. Marabio sits in the presidency. They have full control of the parliament. Any law that they want to pass to change the terms of presidency, then they pass them. Nothing is going to stop them. They will pass those laws. That is how Sierra Leone is blown. It's gone into a full-blown dictatorship. And Marabio is going to sit there and that no moment for Koli because there's nothing we can do about that. Nothing we can do. Where anybody shake, then go tell you for say, hey, listen, we don't get a brutal rebel war. Where these are the same guys that actually came with the war. And Sierra Leoneans don't want to deal with another rebel war. Nobody wants to suffer because the poor people continue to suffer. And the political class, continue for, they've never suffered. When they cut people in foot, who suffered? It is the innocent citizens. They had their limbs chopped off. They have their feet cut off, their hands cut off. Pregnant women's belly were opened up. So Sierra Leoneans don't want to relieve that. So what are they doing? They say, hey, let us remember, we had a brutal rebel war. Now I make enough for dip and this, enough for dip and that. We for love we self. But at the same time, in the back end, they are machinating these games for us to go into a dictatorship. And that is where we're at. You see, Sierra Leoneans over the years, what has happened is Sierra Leoneans don't want to know the truth. And they don't want people to tell them the facts. They don't want anybody who can tell them the truth. Some people them just want for the sweet in them. Tell me something that's going to make her feel good. Tell me something that's going to make me feel nice. That is the problem we have in Sierra Leone. So when people like myself are coming here and sounding the whistle now and giving you a heads up, I'm giving you guys a heads up that we are going into a full-blown dictatorship. You guys are playing. You're taking it, Ibrahim, it's not possible. It's not possible inside this country. No. Everything has been set in order. The opposition within the opposition. For 5 years, we had a parliament that was dormant. They sat by, they watched Marabio, then they jail opposition people, and then they lock people up. When I go across the country, travel across Sierra Leone, I want you guys to go and see what is actually happening in the prisons, them police stations, how they lock people up. Why? Because they're supporters of the APC. So you kill them at that level, at the grassroots level. The SLPP succeeded in eliminating the threat from there. So now everybody is silent. All the way to how they use the August 10th protest for disenfranchised Sierra Leoneans, all the way to the elections. Now Marabio is the president. SLPP controls the presidency. They control the parliament at this particular point in time. And it's only a matter of time. Like I said, these guys are going to pass all the laws for solidify their position. And then we go into a dictatorship. You guys would not know, but it's going to happen because these guys, their vision and the dream wouldn't get. It is what Albert Magai failed to do. What Albert Magai failed to do between 1964 and 1967. So they saw the playbook. They realized that, oh, listen, this was the mistake of Albert Magai. We're not going to make the same mistake. That was why when Shaka Stevens came, how you doing, boss? All right. That was why when Shaka Stevens came to power for 28 years, they have this fantasy. The Marabio, the SLPP, they have this fantasy that, we have to repeat what Shaka Stevens did. But then they are forgetting that Shaka Stevens' presidency is what they used as a prerequisite for them to come up with the rebel war. That was what they used for, say, Ali Kabar and Gula di Mataban and Libya to say, we are tired of oppression and suppression. We have a one-party state system. So therefore, what we want to do is to liberate the people of Sierra Leone, is to free the people of Sierra Leone. That is why we come with the rebel war. And subsequently, the coup came in 1992. So Sierra Leoneans, I'm telling you guys this, and I want you guys to open up your eyes and understand that we're in a full-blown dictatorship at this particular point. We're in a totalitarian government. We're in an authoritarian state. We're in a one party that control all the arms of government. The executive is controlled by the president. The parliament is controlled by the SLPP and the president. The judiciary is controlled by the SLPP and the president. So what else do you have? That is what you call a one-party state system. And in a country where we don't have institutions working, why you would say, okay, well, the police might be standing alone. Hey, Roy. All right, how are you? Yes, sir. So now the police, the institutions that should protect us, the military, every one of those has been tribalized. So what you have is a total domination by the SLPP and President Bio. So nothing is going to stop these guys. When I look out now, we get the case of the Musevenis. Of course, we see, Zimbabwe, we see how, Mugabe did it for how many years? Almost 40 years, if I'm not mistaken. But Sierra Leone, that is where we're going now. Marabio by himself alone is going to consolidate power so much to the point, then therefore going to the point of changing the constitution of the country. When they change the constitution, then Marabio is going to be able to sit there for another 20 years if you're not careful as president of Sierra Leone. And then even when he comes out of power, he's going to successfully hand over power, to, all right, I got you. Yes, sir. And even when he comes out of power, he's going to make sure he hands over power, to SLPP, and SLPP is going to continue to stay. And the APC, the opposition within the opposition that actually bargained with Marabio, where they have up, say, 2028, they would have an opportunity for contest and win an election. Nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to happen. Because what Mohamed Kanawe Kane has done successfully is to prove to Sierra Leoneans that your votes don't matter. So this is how we are going into a full-blown dictatorship in Sierra Leone. I'm sounding the alarm. I'm sounding the whistle now for let everybody understand where we're going. There is nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. Now, Bia will go for Bia no more. Bia will go for Bia no more until God fed for we one day in that country. But there's nothing we can do. But I'm telling you guys, Sierra Leone is full-blown dictatorship at this point. Every arm of government is. Abbas Bundu is currently drafting those amendments. I want you guys to have an understanding of what we're dealing with here, guys. But I just want you guys to understand. We're in a okay. All right. But yeah, guys, my network is kind of tripping here. I don't know why. But it is what it is. But I just want you guys to know we're in a full-blown dictatorship, and that is what is actually happening at this particular point in time. And I want you guys to brace yourself, but that is what we have. So this is why we say, you guys in the opposition, stop defending these useless opposition leaders that you have. For 5 years, You see, look at the play. Remember before the elections, when Parliament was closing, and members of Parliament asked for $50,000 for each member of Parliament when they exit. You guys remember up till this point. You guys remember this. I hope you guys remember this. Up till this point, Manabi has not signed that into legislation. But waiting make it get for sign them. Now when they solidify in position and he's sit on there as a president. But if you're not careful, it might not even give them that money there. It might not even give the members of parliament that money. I'm telling you guys this. But that is where we're at with what is actually happening. So for some of us, it's just a matter of, blowing the whistle. So you guys will understand exactly what is happening. And that is what we want to do. I want you guys to know that no matter what happens, we're in a full-blown dictatorship, and every one of us should be ready for that. And, there's nothing we can do, to change that. There's nothing we can do to change that. I pray we'll go for prayer. Say Africa will believe in prayer. We'll continue for prayer and ask God for let He rescue the situation as it is. But we're in a full-blown dictatorship. Marabi is going to get his way. He's controlling every arm of government at this particular point in time. The judiciary is under his control. The police is under his control. The military is under his control. ECSL is under his control. PPRC is under his control. Institutions are not working. Why America is blessed today is because the institutions are working. But in Sierra Leone, the institutions are dead. Nothing is working. So we are going in for the long haul, Sierra Leoneans, for the long haul. We're in a dictatorship. And the thing about dictatorship is it gets to a point where the weakest of the weakest amongst us, they're going to subdue. They're going to give up and say, you know what, Marabi is the strong man, because that is what he get for present himself as. Marabi is the strong man. I'd rather go with the strong man than go with the weak one. And when that happens, that is how you get a society that is going to be so difficult to break the chains. Where you look like which is happening inside Museveni, Uganda, today. You don't entrench himself so much within the systems that it's not easy for get rid of her. And I get for pass over power to him, Peking, and Peking get for pass over power because he don't entrench himself. We don't allow him for at this particular point in time. Marabi has entrenched himself into the consolidation of power. He has consolidated every aspect of governance, and he has full control and total control. And that is why we're in a full-blown dictatorship. And I want you guys to prepare yourself and just know that there's nothing we can do. But it's fine on this phone. I don't know why it keeps going out on there. But anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it right here. And I just want you guys to share this with your other folks. Let Sierra Leoneans prepare themselves. We're in for the long haul. We're going in for a dictatorship. What we have today is an authoritarian government, a totalitarian. We've lost power. We've lost control. And Marabio and the SLPP gets full control of Sierra Leone at this particular point in time. This is why we tell you, pay attention to your position. Una we exile. Teti una the cost because for politicians. Una the exile. Una don't run away. Una don't go sit down exile. Una the cost for opposition politicians. Them. You guys will remain in exile for a very long time, or una self bargain and make a deal with the SLPP government for una come home. And the only una go do una get for capitulate. You guys will have to capitulate. It means you guys will have to surrender. Your integrity and everything. To say, okay, you know what? I give up. I hand over. I'm gonna come, please. I don't want to have no problems with the SLPP. Let me just come back to my country and live in peace. That is where we're going to go. That is where the SLPP wants you. That is where President Bio wants you guys. And that is what's going to happen. A lot of you guys in Guinea, Liberia, all of these African countries, Ghana, seeking refuge just because you belong to the opposition political party. It's going to come to a time. You have to go back home. It's not like those of us in the diaspora. We got it good here, Shit. What are we missing back home? Nothing, right? But for you guys that are in Africa, you're in exile. When they're in exile, when they suffer, now una more for this thing for effect. That is why when I go for open up on our mind, open up on our eyes, and hold on the leaders them accountable in the opposition to stand up and speak up and challenge this dictatorship that is currently going on, so that when I go on our freedom, when I go for kind of our country back, and then when we can live as Sierra Leoneans, them the country where them born on, also on a naval than they. The country where they plant you navel. You have to come there. You have to come there. Your umbilical cord was buried in Sierra Leone. You guys are sitting there abusing people for politicians. The same politicians that have, jeopardized your life when I did an exile because politicians in the opposition could not stand up for una. Because I cannot imagine how, as an opposition leader, I would sit by and allow my people to go in exile. I cannot even stand up for them, speak up for them, or even represent them. But then say people here, some of them, they cost people in social media for the politicians them. But they're in exile. They are slaves in other people's countries. But what we have in Sierra Leone is going to get to a point, people are going to capitulate, people are going to submit to SLPP, submit to Marabio, because they get for survive. There is no way out of this. And this is therefore even happening within the APC as a political party. There are folks within the APC leadership. They're going to give up. A lot of them, they would not, because they already have money, they have wealth, they have what it takes for them to sustain themselves for a very long time to come. So they might not do it. But there's other folks within the mid-level tier of the APC. They are going to submit to the SLPP because that's the only way they can survive. Because without politics, people cannot survive in Sierra Leone. Everybody has to survive one way or the other through politics. So think about that. So Marabio controls the executive, controls parliaments, controls the judiciary. It's over. We're in a full-blown dictatorship. Everybody brace yourselves, get ready for it. People are going to submit themselves and give up and say, you know what? I'll stick with this man. He's the strong man. Then give up and say, you know what, at the beer, which I go do. I'm not getting nothing for do. The other for fetch for we, not even for fetch for we. If this man in a power, Lord, work with him. That's going to happen over the next few months, over the next few years. You're going to see a lot of people working with the SLPP, and then they hide safe. They will not be hiding it because, you know, they will use the excuse, say, hey, it's about governance. It's about moving this country forward. So we're going to work with the SLPP to move this country forward. That is what's going to happen. And no amount of cost, no, don't go for cost, they will go for change anything because it is the reality of what is happening. We're now in a full-blown dictatorship. The country is over. We're done. Democracy not there again. People not go for vote, and the vote where people vote not even matter. So what's the point in voting? Democracy not gonna forget trust. People not gonna forget any confidence in democracy anymore in Sierra Leone. So what's gonna happen? It is a full-blown dictatorship, and that's what's gonna be. So we're gonna continue for prayer. You know, so we Africans, we believe in prayer. We're all going to pray. You know, we're going to talk. We're for talk. We're going to go so small. But we're in a full-blown dictatorship. I just want to sound the whistle, just in case you guys don't know yet. Say we're in a full-blown dictatorship. I want every Sierra Leonean to understand that we're in a full-blown dictatorship, and nothing is going to change that until God can fetch for we. Because at this point in time, that's all we have. So over the next few months, look out and see people are going to just start working with the SLPP, give up and say, you know what, there's nothing I can do. I have to survive. Man, they had up. Tino de for it. Country tanga. They got for survive. So that is what's going to happen. I would pray and hope that people would stay strong and say, you know what, we're going to stand in what we stand and believe in what we believe. Because people like myself, we believe, say, what's wrong, you're wrong. And that is why I'm blowing out this whistle to you guys and let you guys understand we're in a full-blown dictatorship. Sierra Leone has dwindled down. Democracy has backslided. American Ambassador David Reimer should know this. President Joe Biden should know this. Democracy in Sierra Leone has backslided, and nothing is going to change that easily. It's not going to be an easy task. Mohamed Kanawe Kone is going to be stubborn. The next ECL commissioner is going to do the same thing. ECSL commissioner is going to do the worst thing. Matter of fact, it's going to do worse than what Mohamed Kanawe Kone do. So there's no hope, guys. It's over for us. Sierra Leone democracy died. It died on June 24th, 2023. That's the end of it. Marabio is in full control, total control. He has all arms of government. He control every side. So we're left with Keski Godnomona at this particular point in time. But I just want to let you guys know. We'll get for the tell yourself the fact and the truth. Because we'll tell yourself the truth, then people will become smarter. I hope say this message will make some people smart and understand where we're at as a democracy at this particular point in time. And it's over. And we have to accept that. All right? That is why we talk. For 5 years, we talk, say, when I stand up, when I stand up, when I stand up. They removed 10 members of parliament. Nothing was done. They imposed a speaker. Nothing was done. They passed census. Nothing was done. Then they killed people in Amakeni. Nothing was done. They killed La Paremba Road. Nothing was done. They killed La Mile 91. Nothing was done. They killed La Tombo. Nothing was done. Then they arrest opposition figures. Them. Nothing was done. They don't come. They rig the elections. They got to rig it. Nothing was done. The PPRC, they passed the laws. The Election Act. Nothing was done. The Public Elections Act. Nothing was done. The cyber law, cyber waiting crime. Nothing was done. Everything. Sierra Leone is finished. We're in a full-blown dictatorship. Marabio taking playbook from the Uganda, and for succeed and implement them, and that is what we have. So now the poor people already suffer, no more for continue for suffer. The poverty get for rise drastically. Hunger and starvation get for rise. Now the country across the country, that is the fate of our nation. So you get for find out, say a lot of young women them, don't give up, and what they will do, they will just succumb because they feel say Marabio is a strong man. And that's the end of the democracy in Sierra Leone. But anyways, bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice weekend. I just wanted to blow this out to you guys so you guys could understand the state of affairs. But this was how the opposition sold us to Marabio. Opposition sell we to Marabio. Instead of them stand up within parliament for protect we, they not protect we, they not protect we democracy. This is what we have. And people go say, well, Ibrahim, the other thing, if this, we no go agree, we go to rebel war, we go fight, we go this, we go that. But you know, inside the care we go, inside the care we go. Well, we left with Keski God, we left with Keski God. Anyways, bye bye everybody. All right, cool.